there, welcome, I'm Belle, and today I'm gonna be talking to you guys about how to teach grammar to children, because I know this is a topic that people talk a lot and some people are really confused, especially if you've never taught children at all. So I'm sure that if you are somehow under that radar, you do have a lot of questions about that. I've been teaching children for over 10 years now, so it's been a long time. So with that, I like to think that I feel comfortable teaching grammar to children. So yeah, I'm gonna be talking to you guys a little bit of how I do it. A little disclaimer, this video, like my methods, they're not my methods. I mean, I've been using this method that already exists, but it's a simple thing. It's not complicated at all. So if you're looking for something like super crazy, insane, out of this world, you're not gonna get it here. But if you're looking for something simple that doesn't require a lot of preparation, this is definitely the video for you. So without further ado, let's go right into the video. I'm sure you know that children, most of the times we underestimate children because they are really smart. Of course, they learn in different ways. So if you teach adults and you think that you're going to teach children the same way, it's not gonna work. Even though I do use a method that it's quite similar, but it's not the same at all. But I do feel like when I teach adults, I take a lot of my children experience in the classroom when I'm teaching adults, but it doesn't work the opposite way. I don't use a lot of my adult experience with children because they learn differently. So what I do is I love to work with contextualization. To me, this is the most important part of the lesson, because this is the part where you get their attention. So if this part doesn't work, your class, like I don't think the rest of the class is gonna go really well. So to me, especially when there is a very difficult grammar point in the classroom, contextualization has to be on point. It has to be on point, because if it's not on point, like the rest of the class, it's not gonna it's not gonna work well. So for example, let's say that this lesson we're going to talk about abilities. So to talk about abilities, you have to use the verb can. So I know this is not a very complicated grammar point, but it's like the first thing that I had in mind, and it's gonna work. Bear with me. So if you're teaching can and you're talking about abilities, of course, first you're going to work with vocabulary a little bit. So like, for example, I put on the board a lot of pictures of people doing different sports, different activities, and I would drill that, ask them to repeat the activities, and then I'm going to ask them, what's your favorite activity out of these? What can you do? What's your favorite? Tell me something that you're good at. So they point some of them out. They say like basketball, volleyball, football, singing, dancing. So they point some of them, and with that I feel like they start to enjoy what they're talking about, because children like to talk about them. They like to be the center of attention. And something that's really important, especially in an English class, is to have the children be the center of attention, because the class is supposed to be about them. So that's something that I have in mind at all times. So after that, I like ask for a volunteer. Like I need a volunteer, and somebody raises their hand. Okay, you tell me one ability that you have, one thing that you're good at. And they say, for example, football, play football. And I write on the board, okay, let's say that the name of the child is John. So I write on the board, John can play football. And John gets really excited because I wrote his name on the board. It always happens. Then I ask somebody else, okay, Claire, tell me one ability that you have. And she says, okay, dance. So I write on the board, Claire can dance. Okay, so, and then I ask them, okay, what are we talking about here? We're talking about things that we can do or things that we can't do. So they say things we can do, abilities. So I write on the board, okay, abilities. So, okay, play football, dance. Which word is telling me that this represents ability? So there's always one student that's really smart and says, okay, can. So I circle can or I highlight can, and then I start from there. So this is how I do it. In the end of the class, I always play a game and have a personalization moment. Personalization moment is when grammar clicks, is when grammar comes to life, because they're not learning grammar to fill in the blanks. Okay? They're not doing it just to fill in the blanks. They're learning grammar to talk about themselves, and that's what I like to show them in the classroom, because we have a point where we're talking about ability, so you need to talk about it in a personalized way. So this is something that I keep in mind a lot when I teach grammar. So something else, so this is really simple. It's very similar to what I do with adults, because I always contextualize, and like from there, from contextualization, I go to the grammar points and personalization in the end. It has to be a personalization activity in the end, a freer activity with not a lot of you need to let them go. I was gonna say not a lot of boundaries, but you need to have boundaries. But you know what I mean, not controlled moment. It's not controlled, because they can choose absolutely anything. They just have to use what we've learned. But they can talk about themselves in a free way. That's what I mean. So also something that I keep in mind, and that everyone should keep in mind, is face. Oh my god, face expressions, energy. That's key. That's key, especially when you have a boring lesson to teach. Especially when you have a boring lesson to teach. Like, be excited, because they need to feel like they're learning the most special, amazing thing on the planet, even though it's not true. But you need to convince them. But if you don't convince yourself, you won't convince them. So you need to like what you're teaching. You need to you need to show like excitement. You need to be excited. Face expressions are great, especially for also positive, negative question. So that's something that I always have in mind when teaching grammar, because it's really important, especially when teaching like English as a second language. It's really important to have to show what you're saying on your face. Miming is really important too. So keep that in mind when teaching grammar. Especially, you want them to pay attention to you, so you need to have a nice face on. That's what I have to say. Also, one more thing, posters. Do not be afraid of posters. Posters are your best friend when you're teaching something. So, let's go back to the topic of abilities. For example, if they need to learn, especially how to spell, the activities, the abilities that they're learning, you can ask them to draw on a poster and write under each picture the name of the ability, the name of the sport, the name of the activity, and you can put that on the wall. And then you can ask them to give examples. So on one poster you can put the abilities, like the picture, the drawings and the names of the abilities, and on another poster you can ask them for examples. So for instance, you can ask Claire, I don't know, I have the name on my mind today. Claire, give me an example of an activity, like from the poster, an activity that you can do. So she says, dance. So I say, okay, complete sentence. She says, I can dance. So I write on the poster, Claire can dance. And then I ask, okay, John, tell me one ability that you can't do. So he says, for instance, play basketball. Okay, complete sentence, full sentence, I can't play basketball. So I write, John can't play basketball. So that's usually what I do, something like that. So yeah, this is how I teach grammar to children. Don't forget the face. I feel like the face is number one. It's like the most important things when teaching grammar to children. And like the class, because if you don't buy the class, if you don't like it, they won't like it either, and it's gonna be a lot harder for you to teach. If they like it, if they're interested in what you're saying, that's more than halfway through. Like that's more, like that's the biggest thing, like that's the best thing ever. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I put a new video every single Friday, so click the bell to receive a notification every time I post a video, and I see you next Friday for a brand new video. Bye.